An Afghani national was arrested for posting a video on TikTok about making a bomb and potentially blowing up a building in Fort Worth, Texas. Crazy because I live in the DFW area, but I want to play a 5-minute clip of a Marine veteran talking about our vetting processes, also what the president is doing about this. Let's check it out.
National was arrested in Texas just a day before the National Guard shooting in Washington, D.C. DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said the suspect, also reportedly let in under the Biden administration, posted a video of himself on TikTok indicating he was building a bomb with an intended target of the Fort Worth area. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt posting, quote, "The magnitude of the national security crisis Joe Biden unleashed on our country over the span of 4 years cannot be overstated. President Trump has directed his entire team to continue rooting out this evil within our borders." Our next guest is a U.S. Marine veteran who helped lead rescue missions during the Afghanistan withdrawal. Chad Robichaux joins us now. Thank you so much for your service, but also thank you for joining us this morning on this incredibly important story. You know, you did several deployments to Afghanistan. You fought alongside a lot of these Afghanis, and I think you probably supported helping some of them get out of Afghanistan during that disastrous withdrawal. What were the problems you recognized at the time with letting 80,000 Afghani nationals into the United States?
Yeah, I mean, I said this on Fox News at that time. I said this in my book that I wrote 4 years ago when the NGOs were doing the evacuations. We were evacuating people out of Afghanistan, not bringing people to America. In fact, no NGO, no individual has the ability and authority to bring someone to America. The only people that does is the United States government. And during the time of evacuations, we were watching the U.S. military, forced by Joe Biden. I have to give credit. Our service members did an amazing job there, but right. Forced by Biden's White House to put unvetted, undocumented Afghans on planes and fly them straight to the United States and let them loose in the interior of the country, 80 to 100,000 of them. And when that happened, I knew immediately, I mean, it can't go well. Eventually, one of them has to be a bad guy and is going to do an attack on the United States. And this would happen. I mean, that is one to be a bad guy.
I mean, if you take a look at this shot right here, you telling me there has to be somebody in that group who intends to cause harm in the United States. There's no way you can bring that many people into the country and not have at least one or a small percentage of them intend to do lots of harm.
Guy and is going to do an attack on the United States, and this would happen. I mean, that is one scenario. We also have the border that was every single day. And our country is it has been just overrun by we don't know who. Right. And this should be no surprise to anyone.
Well, one of the important points that I think that you have made is the fact that, so some of these guys were vetted, but they were vetted to become contract workers for the CIA, not vetted to come and live in suburban America.
Yeah, look, I worked in the special operations community for 14 years. When I was in Afghanistan, I was a DoD contractor on a JSOC task force, and we had CIA trained Afghans working with us. We had JSOC trained Afghans working with us. We vetted them to work for us as combatants. And there's a big difference when the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right.
They're great to work in. And it doesn't mean they wouldn't eventually be a good American, but the criteria of them working as a combatant doesn't qualify them to integrate in our society. That's a separate process.
I think that's interesting that he said that there's a totally separate process for bringing somebody into the country to potentially become a citizen or a resident, whatever, versus somebody who's working alongside our armed forces.
For that, and that's the State Department's responsibility to do that. That's why when we got people like my interpreter Aziz out of Afghanistan, he had to go to UAE and wait 9 months for the State Department to do their due diligence process to make sure they were safe to come to America. And Aziz is my friend; he's here.
Yeah, you raise a really important point, because even if they were good, loyal friends and soldiers there, the cultural differences are extraordinary. And you have
Huge.
two problems. One is the fact that maybe they have, prior ideations about America. But the other thing is just the cultural shock of coming here. We don't know, maybe coming here and the duress of being here for years, feeling out of place, the cultural shock could also turn somebody against the United States.
Well, I mean, look, people, not a lot of people are saying this, and it can't be overlooked. If you're an Afghan and you gave 10 years of your life to fight alongside the Americans, and now the rug was pulled underneath you, we abandoned our allies there. We left the most strategic place in the globe, Afghanistan, between Iraq, Iran, Russia, and China, for the Taliban to take over their women, their children. So maybe, and I'm certainly not giving an excuse for an Afghan that's here in America, but maybe they're here. They feel so betrayed by what the Biden administration did. They're back here driving an Uber because that's the only job they could get. Meanwhile, their mom and their sister's back getting raped every day by the Taliban. Right. I mean, there's the Biden administration set up a very good scenario to be hated by these people.
Exactly.
And it's certainly an excuse, but it's a reality that we have to recognize. Yeah,
without a doubt. It is not any excuse whatsoever, but it does remind us all that that these were all stupid mistakes that could have been foreseen and avoided if they had listened to people like you. So we appreciate that. Chad Robichaux, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you again for your service.
And Die Hard is a Christmas movie, by the way.
Thank you. We agree.
I don't know. That's one that's up for the debate. It's been a debate for a long time. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? They both say yes. I don't know about that. So that's another topic for another day. I love me some Christmas movies. I have a list of my favorites, but I will not talk about that right now because we have to get back to this video. But anyway, all right. So how many Afghans are resettled here in the state of Texas? I found that I have multiple sources I found say roughly the same thing. This one gives a detailed breakdown of where they went. So when the U.S. military withdrew from Afghanistan, this is from Texas Signal. When the U.S. military withdrew from Afghanistan in August 2021, approximately 76,000 at-risk Afghans were evacuated and brought to safety in the United States. The last time the U.S. had resettled this number of refugees was after the Vietnam War. The Vietnam War, when 130,000 Vietnamese were brought to America. Texas received more Afghans than any other state, with approximately 10,500 being resettled here. Nearly half, or 5,117, went to Houston, 2,294 went to Dallas-Fort Worth, 1,763 went to San Antonio, and now 901 went to Austin. The state's resettlement organizations weren't prepared for this sudden influx. Agencies had lost staff and funding during the Trump administration and the COVID-19 pandemic, where refugee numbers fell drastically. All right, so there you have it. Numbers were in Texas are pretty large. We got the most out of anybody. And then you have this guy who was a part of this program, this resettlement program under the Biden administration. Potentially, he could have blown up a building in Fort Worth. At least that's what his plans were, according to that video. But check this out from New York Post. Over 5,000 Afghan migrants flagged on national security grounds since 2021, documents reveal. More than 5,000 Afghans brought to the U.S. after American forces withdrew from the country got flagged for national security issues. Department of Homeland Security data obtained by the Post reveals. In all, the feds uncovered potential derogatory information on a total of 6,868 people who came from Afghanistan as part of President Biden's Operation Allies Welcome in 2021. Of that number, 5,005 came up with a national security concern, while 956 people had public safety concerns, and 876 were flagged for fraud, according to the data. DHS provided information to Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican Senator of Iowa, chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, after he posted a series of questions to the Homeland Security Department in May 2024. While various agencies were able to resolve many of the red flags, in September there were still 885 people with potentially negative national security information posing a possible threat. Following Wednesday's shocking ambush of 2 National Guard members in Washington, D.C., President Trump ordered a review of security and vetting protocols for migrants from 19 high-risk countries, along with asylum cases approved by the prior administration. The Starlink data comes to light just days after the suspect in D.C. killed 1 National Guard. The woman, Sarah Beckstrom, 20 years old, left Guardsman Andrew Wolf, 24, hospitalized in critical condition. Such a tragic situation right there. For years, Grassley has been pressing the FBI and DHS about glaring red flags in the program that brought more than 70,000 Afghans to the U.S. following the 2021 troop withdrawal. There's one more piece of information I want you to see here before we go to some video. All right, so this is what I wanted to get to. The Justice Department IG, meanwhile, reported in June that 55 individuals who were on a terror watch list but still made to the U.S. port as of May 2023. Some of them had been added to the list while the evacuation was taking place. Crazy stuff that you have these people on a terror watch list, but were still made to the U.S. They still made it, regardless of them being on a terror watch list. This is why this is why so many people are outraged by this. And there are people like there's an immigration lawyer who said after this guy was arrested in Fort Worth, oh, well, 99% are doing nothing wrong. And most 99% of the people who come here have love for America. Well, that's not true. I listened to the radio earlier, and the host made a great point that not everybody who wants to come to this country has a love for America, whether they're the people who are not terrorists and who want to cause harm. They're leaving their countries because their places suck. They don't want to be in Afghanistan. They don't want to be in El Salvador or Honduras or Guatemala or Haiti. They want to come here because it's better than the place they're currently at. But it's not because they have a love of country. I'm sure some do. Some really do want to become Americans, but no. Some people have no intention to assimilate to our way of life. All right, so here's the president talking about the pause on asylum from certain countries.
Your administration made a lot of moves throughout the last few days after we know that Afghan national is the suspected shooter of these National Guardsmen.
Yeah, people that shouldn't be in our country this week.
So you announced that asylum.
And that includes Somalians and includes plenty of others.
How long does your administration plan to pause asylum into the U.S.?
I think a long time.
Can you give any kind
of
time?
We don't want those people. We have enough problems. We don't want those people.
Is that a year, 2 years?
No time limit.
And then
but it could be a long time.
You said that
we don't want those people. Do you understand that?
I understand.
You understand it?
I understand.
Who are you with?
I'm with News Nation.
Okay.
My name
Do you understand? Who are you with? I like how he wants to make sure, he wants to find out where they're from, whether it's CNN, MSNBC, what news outlet are you from?
News Nation, great. Let me just tell you something. We don't want those people. Does that make sense? You know why we don't want them? Because many of them are no good, and they shouldn't be in our country.
What do you like those people? Can you
the people from different countries that are not friendly to us, and countries that are out of control themselves. Countries like Somalia that have virtually no government, no military, no police. All they do is go around killing each other. Then they come into our country and tell us how to run our country. We don't want that.
I mean, you know what? Some people may find that controversial to say, but I think a lot of people feel that way. We don't want people just pouring into our country from resettlement in a resettlement process or seeking asylum. I think a lot of people are just fed up with people coming to the country by the thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands. We have lots of problems here, like you said. We have plenty of problems here that we need to worry about. And we don't want people from other countries, for the time being, pouring into our nation. And their countries over there are a mess. Their governments are a mess. They have all kinds of gang issues. You take Venezuela, for example. Venezuela has, we have lots of TDA members of Chende Agua in our country we're trying to get removed. We've removed a lot of them already, but there's still a ways to go. And you have MS-13 members coming up here. You have people from the Middle East coming over here who want to cause harm, who governments are completely corrupt and they have a lot of terrorism. So yes, I think it makes a lot of sense to put a pause, temporarily put a pause and get things figured out before you have more problems. Get a hold of what we have going on right now, then maybe we can talk about this in the future. All right, so this is the Homeland Security. They posted something on X, and this is Christian McLaughlin talking about the pause on from 19 countries impacted by the migration halt.
No, this could absolutely grow, Dana. This is evolving, especially as we do some real analysis on this. But I do think it's incredibly important for viewers to know what the prior administration was doing when it comes to vetting, especially when it came to this Operation Allies Welcome. This vetting was paper thin. They weren't doing biometric vetting. They weren't really doing criminal vetting, criminal screening, cyber screening, financial crimes. They weren't cross-referencing. They weren't looking at social media. So President Trump and Secretary Noem have completely overhauled this process to make sure we're diving in deep and seeing who are the people who are actually entering this country. As your past guests have said, almost 200,000 Afghan nationals entering this country, many of which were military-age men. The fact of the matter is the Biden administration didn't know who was coming into our country, causing a huge national security crisis. And that's exactly what we saw the other day with this terrorist attack, and then this near terrorist attack out of Fort Worth, Texas, where this individual was threatening to blow up a building. Both of these individuals being Afghan nationals, both of them coming in under this Biden administration program.
Like, that doesn't mean that all of them are bad people. We get that. We get that not everybody's a bad person, wants to cause harm. But the vetting process has to be much more thorough because you have things, somebody's going to slip through the cracks. All right, so this is Tom Holman talking about our vetting process. Turkish man who crossed into California illegally with a group of other Turkish men and told Bill Maluzhin, Fox News reporter, he paid $10,000 to a cartel to get in and was shocked how easy it was to get in the country.
Did you have to pay a cartel?
Yes.
How much?
Around 10,000.
10,000?
Yes. In fact, the American people is right, completely true. Who come into this country, they don't know. Well, okay, I'm good, but how if they're not good? How they're killer, psychopath, else? No guarantee of that. Why, like no security, no security check, no background check.
No security check, no background check. You're worrying about who's crossing the border?
Yes. Of course, me, because I'm like, people are not look normal.
Did you have to?
I mean, look, even this guy who came to the country illegally is concerned with nut jobs getting over here. It says, yeah, the American people are correct. They're correct in their concerns about security risk, and threats coming into the country. And that was last year. Thankfully, the border is secure now. But these three guys, I don't want them in the country legally, even though they may be great guys. I mean, they have no ill intention, I should say. They don't want to cause any harm, but they still came in the wrong way. So yeah, that does not need to happen anymore. Thankfully, it's not. I'll leave that right there. Let me know what you think in the comments, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. Take care.